if you're singing and, your voice was tight, or you're, singing for like 10, 15 minutes and your voice was busted, right? Your throat hurts, it's sore. Then we need to resolve that. And this is an episode on how do we sing without tension. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Singing Simply Show. My name is Ivan, and I help adult beginners sing with confidence. And so if this is your first time here, welcome. Great to have you here. And if you are coming back to check out another episode, great to have you here as well. And today we'll be talking about the topic of tension, right? And obviously tension is a very, very big topic, but I'll have to break it down into some little bite-sized pieces for you to tackle. And I'll be sharing a concept today on how do we get there. And this actually, first of all, this podcast episode actually came from me asking a question in my Facebook group. So if you guys haven't joined my Facebook group, check out the link in the description. Join my Facebook group. This is where we can interact and also interact with each other. And so basically tension is a big thing that often holds us back at singing. If you've ever sung a song, but you kind of cracked on the high notes, or got stuck, or your voice was really, really tired, right, or tight, then chances are you're singing with tension, right? Chances are you are singing with tension. And so today, what I'd love to do is share one of the easiest ways to resolve some of that tension, right? To resolve some of that tension, to allow your singing to feel even easier, feel even better, so then you can finally express things the way you want. Right. And, if you're a pro, or if you're intermediate, or if you're someone who's just starting off, this is going to be relevant for you because this is a foundational concept that we all need to be able to do as singers. And if you're not doing it at the moment, great, that's fine. Then you just use this as a refresher. Get yourself back into it. So the concept I want to quickly share with you all today is that one of the best ways to get rid of tension in your voice is not because, it is actually the lack of tension, right? The lack of tension, especially the lack of right tension. Because when it comes to singing, right? When it comes to creating a voice, there's energy involved. There's energy in creating a loud, strong, powerful sound, or even just creating sound in general. And so there needs to be energy. There needs to be some kind of tension, right? Now, obviously there's right and not so right ways of tension. When you have tension, or when you have like your muscles around the outsides of your throat, when they tense up, or when you have unnecessary tension in your shoulders, those are tensions that we don't want because they don't actually help you with the sound creation process. If anything, they make it harder. They make it more effortful to create those sounds. And so we need to shift our thinking, right? It's not that singing is completely tensionless. Now, as you get better, it feels pretty easy, right? But especially when you're starting off, there needs to be some kind of engagement involved. And so for today, I want to kind of share the idea of having the right engagement in your body. Having the right kind of engagement in your body, because this is the foundation of great singing, right? And I'm assuming you're here because you want to learn how to sing better. And this is actually something I've been singing for 10 years, but this is something I'm always refreshing and learning things about because I think you can always get better at it. And so basically, how do we engage the right tension in our body? How do we engage the right tension in our body? How you do this, right, is let's find good breath support, or breath control, breath management, whatever you might call it, right? And here's a very simple analogy. And the reason why we want to do this, right, is when you have the right amount of breath support, the right engagement in your body, it allows you to create a very stable and steady stream of air against your vocal folds, which means ease and efficiency. Now think of it like this. Your body is basically just a sack of air. And your vocal folds, right, which is right at the top of the sack of air, is what controls the amount of air that's released. Now think of it like this. Right? your vocal folds are really small. They're really, really tiny. If anything, they're apparently just the size of not your vocal folds. They're the size of your nails. Right, so they're really, really tiny. And if you think about this, right, your body is like your lungs are quite big, right? And imagine if we let all that air blast through these little nails, little vocal folds the size of a nail. That's not going to be good on them. And so one of the things we talk about in terms of breath support is how do we expand and get a nice amount of air and gently release them against nicely closed vocal folds? Because if we can do that, right, this is going to be a great way to resolve tension. Hey team, just going to quickly pause this episode right here because, if you've always wanted to get started with singing, or maybe you want to figure out the next step, you're sick of those YouTube workouts and warm-ups, and you want to graduate outside of the shower, then I've got the perfect little gift for you. So join me on my next 5-day class where we help you get started with your voice, help you figure out what you need to do next, and also help you share some concepts that are going to help you build your voice and your confidence. And most importantly, you get to work with me for these 5 days completely risk-free. And so if you're open to more details, super simple. All you need to do is send me a DM on Instagram. Just say, hi, I'm interested in the 5-day, and that is more than enough. And two ways to really do this. Number one, you can find me in the show notes, or you can search me directly on Instagram at Sing with Ivan. So that's Sing with Ivan. So apart from that, we'll have a chat there and see if this is the thing that works for you, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Enjoy. And this isn't the only way, right? We've got things like, having good chord closure, having the right placement of your voice, learning to shift the resonance of the voice, all these kind of things, right? But, if you guys are interested, I'll share them in a different episode. Just let me know in the comments, right? Let me know if you want me to share more about this. But today, we're learning to engage more in the body. So coming back to this idea of the body is a sac of air. If it is a sac of air and we wanted to gently release air out of it, right? We need to maintain the expansion, right? We need to learn to maintain the expansion in the body. Now, how do we do this, right? Say, for example, number one, just get basic good posture in. If you get nice tall postures, that's already 50% of the work done. Now, once you can get a nice tall posture, which means you're not kind of hunching, you're not kind of in the computer position, right? When everyone's typing on the computer. If you're not in that, great. So nice and tall. And I want you to take a nice deep breath and do it really slow, right? And see if you can get a nice expansion for now in the lower half of your body. All right, what this might mean is if I take a breath in, and I'll just turn to my side here. If I take a nice breath in, you'll notice my belly expands. But it's not to be honest, it's not only the belly that expands. Like the back will expand, the side will expand. But basically we're looking for some kind of expansion. Because when the lungs expand, they actually press down and out, right? Which means something has to expand. Something has to expand, which is, it could be the stomach expanding, the sides expanding, the lower back, whatever it might be, but there needs to be some kind of expansion. Now that's the inhale, right? But obviously we know when we sing, it's on the release or the exhale of the air. So what we need to get good at is maintaining that expansion. Because once again, coming back to that analogy of the bag of air being a sack, right? If we collapse everything and all that air gushes out, right? And we call this air blasting because the air has to go somewhere, right? It has to go somewhere. And so we don't want that because the vocal folds are so tiny. Remember, they're the size of your nails. And so we want to practice just finding this ability to take a nice deep breath and maintain that as we sing, right? For example, if I was to go, right? If I was to maintain that, I all of a sudden feel like, because I'm maintaining this expansion, my voice feels a lot easier to use. And feel free to try this as well. Feel free to try this because here's the thing. Whenever we are, we feel tension, or whenever we feel like, oh my gosh, our voice is so tight, chances are it's because this bad boy hasn't been engaged, Not in the way I'm talking about today, which is, maintaining that expansion. Sometimes, when you tense your body, or like, some teachers would explain it as, like, just imagine if you're lifting weights or like going to the bathroom. It is definitely not that. It is definitely not that in terms of engagement. But, one of the things I would encourage you to do is just keep an open mind. Try it out. Test out this strategy I'm sharing with you all today. Test it out with you singing and test it out a few more times because it's going to take some work. But you'll notice when you get this nice inhale, this nice expansion, there's a form of engagement here. And this is what I'm referring to as the good kind of tension, the right kind of tension. There needs to be a bit of that, right? A lot of times when I have like some of my clients come and they work with me at Summit or Basecamp, they would, be singing like this. And that's all fun and games, right? But that's not enough, right? Like it's just way too weak and way too breathy. It could be used as a color, but we want to see if we can find that strength. So being able to do that, right? That's a completely different skill, right? And so this is why it's so important to get that inhale, the exhale, and learning to sing with that coordination. And so this is a little exercise you can already start to try. Right? If you notice there's a lot of tension in your voice, or if you notice your voice is weak, but you feel like you're giving it maybe a lot of effort, it feels effortful, time to engage your support the right way. Because then I can then apply this to maybe when I'm singing a song, right? Say when I'm singing a song, and let's just say Love by Nat King Cole, right? And this is a song, a bit of like a love song, a bit of a crooner. If I was to go, L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very, right there on that V. V is very, very. I do really need to keep a bit of that expansion because if I don't, V, it becomes really hard to get to. It becomes really, really hard to get to. Now, frankly, I was keeping the support the entire time, but I noticed there was more of that, expansion feeling, or that down and out feeling when I was singing a bit higher. Now, you want to maintain this the whole time when you're singing, no matter when it be like, even your higher notes or your lower notes, there wants to be, you want to have some kind of baseline level of support. So, hey, this is basically how do we start to sing without tension? How do we sing without tension? And maybe this might be like a little part 1 series, but basically step 1 is making sure you've got the underlying support because this is actually engaging the right amount of tension in your body and the right kind, right? Where you're not tensing, you're not kind of squeezing and air blasting, but you're maintaining that expansion so that you can have something to lean on when you're singing. So apart from that, if you've got any questions, right? If you've got any questions or maybe any suggestions in terms of topics for future episodes, because I'd love to, share things that you guys actually want to hear about. Send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at Sing with Ivan. There'll be links in the show notes. Send me a DM, just connect and say hi. I'd love to get to know all of you who are listening here as well. And if you've got any questions about, getting started with your voice, building your voice, send me a message there. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So apart from that, take care and I'll see you all next time. And remember, you are not your limitations. Take care.